If you are experiencing a really difficult time in love and relationships, this video is going to help you as long as you can stay open to it. The things that I'm going to say might be something that you've heard, might not be, and it's going to require you to take radical self-accountability. Some of the things in here might trigger you, and I want you to just try and stay open. We're gonna get really deep into it today. I'm gonna expose a lot of things about myself that is a little bit difficult to speak on. My throat already doesn't want to do this. I keep losing my voice. But I'm going to be as vulnerable as possible to show you the path that I went on, what I have learned, and how this has benefited me. So let's get into it. Just to preface this, I am 32 years old and I have had many long-term relationships since I was a very young teenager. And this is because at our core as humans, we long to be loved. We came from source, from the all, from God. All that the all is love. And when we come down into earth, into our human bodies, we are living in a world that is dualistic. So up, attached to source, the creator, God, we experience love, abundance, bliss. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's amazing, but we have nothing to compare it to. So we come down into earth to experience opposites, and this can be really hard for our human brains to understand. Why would we choose to suffer? Why would we choose to be in pain? Why would we choose to have hateful thoughts or hatred towards one another? It's because we didn't know what that felt like, and we came down here to experience it in order to transmute it and flip it back into what we know. Because we are extremely powerful little souls. We are fractals of source. So coming down here, we all long to have deep and meaningful relationships that require love. I did a little poll on my Instagram a little while ago asking my friends and my followers what they struggle with most: money and finances, health and wellness, or love and relationships. And I really thought it was going to be money and finances, but it was an overwhelming amount of people saying they struggle with love and relationships. And the reason for this is because coming from love, we know what that feels like. We love that feeling. Love is beautiful, and we come down into duality and we feel the opposite of it, and it feels so foreign and so far from what we know that it can cause a lot of friction and uncomfortability in our souls. So when I was younger, I experienced almost every single relationship that I was in, I got cheated on. That caused me to have extremely low self-esteem and confidence. It caused me to believe that my body was what would get me love. It caused me to believe that I constantly needed to improve or change or focus on my appearance and my external body in order to gain and receive love, and in order to feel worthy of love. I needed to be beautiful, I needed to be sexy, I needed to perform in ways that would get me love. So we're getting really vulnerable here. I got myself into some really unfortunate relationships and there was a point in my life where I was very low in my frequency, and this attracted in these people into my life that otherwise wouldn't have. This is not saying that these people are bad, that they did not love me in the best way that they could. I don't want to make a video shaming anyone. There is no shame for them for where they were at. There is no shame for me for where I was at that time. We are all constantly growing and evolving, and this video is for those people that are really struggling in love, because I know how hard it can be, and I know that being in a relationship that is hurtful, that is traumatic, that is abusive, feels all consuming, and it feels like there is no possible way that it is your fault. So I want to get the word fault and the blame like out of our vocabulary. We're not going to look at that. But what I want you to do is take accountability for your part in this. We all have free will. So you chose, your vibration chose to be in agreement with these souls. And that can feel icky. So I need to speak on 2 relationships that I had in particular. These relationships took course over 7 years of my life, and they were very difficult. And I don't want to speak on relationships and not give my backstory to them, because anybody can come online and say, well, to get a better relationship, do this, that, and the other. I know what it's like to be in very low frequency relationships, and I also know how to get out of them, raise my vibration so I stop attracting that, and I start healing what is within me that attracted that in the first place. When I was 18, I got into a very abusive relationship. There's no other way to say that, and this is not to shame him. So if you are in a place of your life where you're in a relationship that is abusive, shaming the other person is not going to help you. Where they were at was because they came from a really traumatic past. They had abandonment wounds, they had neglect wounds, they had abuse wounds of their own, they had a lot of history and trauma and pain within their bodies. And the reason why I attracted them into my life is because I also had a lot of pain in my body as well. So we were vibrating at the same frequency, we attracted into each other's lives, and I know that now, looking back on this was to heal me. This was not to hurt me, this was to heal me. This was to make me aware of where I was currently vibrating at, so that I could see, oh my goodness, I have that inside of me. That is a wound within me that I am seeing in the external reality in another person. As within, so without. Relationships are perfect mirrors. It is a perfect way for us to see what is going on within us. So I attracted somebody who was very narcissistic, and this was my voice, you guys. I can barely speak. Can you hear that? Oh Lord, help me get this message home. So I attracted in this relationship because they were extremely narcissistic and I was extremely empathetic. So the narcissist and the empath feed each other. They need somebody who gives them a constant supply of energy, and the empathetic person needs somebody who needs them. So it's this continuous loop that they're like giving and taking, giving and taking. This relationship also was with someone who was narcissistic and had an sex addiction. So it was furthering and deepening and trying to make me see this wound that I was causing of my body is the way to get love. And that furthering the story of like all men cheat. So all of these things were trying to show me that this is what I'm attracting into my life. And at the time, I did not understand this. I did not have the conscious awareness to pull light into what was going on. So I was in victim mentality, and I kept going back to this person. I was in a continuous cycle. I could not break out of it. So for 3 years, we would break up, get back together, break up, get back together. And this is because I wasn't understanding the wounds, and I wasn't seeing that this was abusive. I wasn't seeing that this was a cycle of abuse, that I was being gaslit, that all of these things were happening to me, and I was not understanding my part. So when I finally got out of this relationship for good, I had to do it in a way that was probably not healthy, but I got out of it and I got right into a new relationship, and that was also a pattern of mine. I was going from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, and this is because I was stuck in fight or flight, and I was trying so hard to feel safe with love that I didn't understand what I was doing. I was jumping and jumping and jumping and not healing in between. So not seeing the patterns, not seeing the role that I was playing, and not healing anything. So what I was experiencing in one relationship, I was pulling into the next relationship exactly the same. New person, new phase, same shit. So now I was in a relationship with someone that I knew for a long time, that I did not trust my intuition about, that I got into this relationship with old baggage, with old problems, with old stuff, with a new person who also had old baggage, old stuff that they were not dealing with either. And this person had a corn addiction, so it was again furthering my feeling that my body needed to be a certain way, that I needed to look a certain way, that I needed to perform a certain way in order to be loved, because these people were mirroring to me that their addictions were something that I struggled with deeply, that I was not confident in myself, that I believed that if I didn't look a certain way that they would look at other women, and all of these things furthered me into a lower vibrational frequency, and that made me unable to get out of the relationship. So the pain that I experienced in these relationships was just a never-ending cycle, and I was not learning. And it wasn't until a friend of mine said that what you allow is what continues, and that shook my entire world, because I was allowing these men, these people, to treat me in a way that continued that story for me, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to be loved in the way that I knew I deserved to be loved but was not experiencing. So I took a 2-year hiatus. I really started to dive into spirituality. I started to dive into shadow work, and I started to really understand myself and the patterns that I was choosing. If you, on the other side of this, are experiencing anything similar to what I've been speaking on, where you're in a string of relationships that are unhealthy, the common denominator is you. And I know that that is uncomfortable, and I know that that is painful, and I know that working on that is going to feel awful. Looking at you and the shadow aspects of you, the things that you don't want to see, the things that you don't want to admit to yourself, pointing the finger back at you and going inwards and looking at what inside of me is calling in this experience. What inside of me is that mirror. I'm looking at them, but I am seeing me. So what is it about me that is calling this in? What I needed to do to get out of that vibrational frequency was remember my worth. Remember that my worth is not on my appearance. My worth is within. That I am beautiful inside. That the inside matters more than the outside, because the outside is always shifting, it's always changing, but the inside is eternal. So if I can focus on my soul and listen to my soul, develop my intuition, get closer to God, that is going to shift everything that's happening outside of me. I had to get really clear on who I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up, what I wanted to start experiencing, and what love looked like to me. And the only way I could do that was by loving myself. And this is when you're going to start to see an immense amount of shifts in your life, because you cannot experience love if you don't know what that feels like. And the only way you can know what that feels like is if you give it to yourself first. So I started to date myself. I went on so many dates alone. I went to dinners alone. I got drinks alone. I went for walks alone. And I started to really fall in love with me, which made me fall in love with life, which made the experiences that I was having, the love that I was attracting, start to shift. I know that that can be difficult because we want that external. We want that partner, we want that person, our best friend, our partner in crime, our ride or die, to be there with us experiencing life. I promise, if you just take your time to stop looking for that love outside of you, and you start pouring into you. You start discovering who you are, what you like, what you love about yourself, what you don't love about yourself, and how you can shift that into loving that about yourself. And you just focus on you. That love that you are searching for, you're going to realize was never apart from you. It was always inside of you, and that is going to magnetize the external version of that to come to you. So there is a lot of talk about divine union, twin flames, kingdom marriage, and the only way to get to that is within, is finding it inside first. And by law, it has to materialize in the external. But you have to be aware of all of the shadow aspects of yourself. You have to start uncovering, this is what I'm vibrating at. This is the trauma that I'm holding on to. This is the story that I keep playing over and over in my mind that's making that the vibrational frequency that I'm emitting and continuously calling in that experience for me. So me focusing, me having this story, me programming into my mind that all men are going to cheat on me, that every man that I've ever dated is doing shady things behind my back, that is what was calling that experience into my life over and over and over again, because that's what I was playing. So when I got into the relationship that I'm in now, I had to say no to that programming. I had to continuously tell myself that this man loves me. He's not doing anything shady behind my back, and I trust myself, I trust in him, and I trust in God that I would not be in this relationship if it was to harm me. So I had to do a lot of work, and it is still a daily practice. It's not something that you are gonna work on alone and then you get into a relationship and everything is sunshine and rainbows. When you get into a relationship, that is going to be your biggest test on how you can continue to improve, how you can continue to shine light on the shadows and reprogram your mind. So I know that this is difficult, and seriously, don't get me wrong, I still stumble. I still fall into old programming where I am scared. It's scary to put yourself out there for love, because you know that the opposite of love is like pain. So we are really vulnerable when we decide to like let somebody into our lives and let somebody into our hearts, but there is never any amount of love that is wasted. And although those years of my life were very traumatic, I am so grateful for them. I am so grateful for the lessons that those men taught me. I am so grateful for the person that I became outside of that. And although it has taken a lot of work, I wish them nothing but love and nothing but success and growth in their life, because I at one point loved them very much, and I am wishing them nothing but the best because of who they were to me at one point in time. Yes, it was traumatic, but if you're in a relationship that's like that, you're choosing them. You are choosing to be there, and something about them is why you're choosing to be there. I saw such a bright light in every single person that I've dated. Why? Because that was the mirror. That bright light is within me. But everybody has it. Everybody has that beautiful, amazing something about them. And that's because we're all from source. And so I'm seeing that they are bright, and I'm seeing that they have so much possibility within them. That possibility has never gone away. So I hope that one day they can find that light within themselves, that they can shine that on their shadows, so that they can transform and transmute all of the baggage that they have been holding on to, so that they can understand themselves to show up better in future relationships, to show up better for themselves, to show up better for their children if they have any, better for the community and for the world. As we heal ourselves, we change our frequency, and that inspires other people to do so from seeing it, but also by feeling it. We can feel collectively as people are starting to raise their consciousness level and their frequency. So that is why I wish them nothing but the best from where I am right now, because I have raised my consciousness level to see what value those relationships brought to me. If you're not there, that's okay. It's okay, because I know that we can go through some shit and it is painful, and nothing is taking that pain away from you. But I just want to remind you that we make choices, and sometimes those choices have gone against our intuition. We knew not to get in a relationship with that person. We knew because our gut was telling us, maybe people around us were telling us, something in us, outside of us, something told us not to do the thing that we did, and we did it anyways. And that might cause a consequence, because your soul, that intuitive guide, is telling you to go one way and you're disregarding, you're ignoring, and you're going another way. So you're at a different vibrational frequency of the path that you're supposed to be on. So that path that you've chosen has things on it that were not for you, and that is uncomfortable. That feels not nice to think about, that you are always the problem and the solution. And that mentality was not something that I thought right away. I wanted to point the finger and say, well, he's a narcissist and he is abusive and he is what caused my life to be in complete turmoil. No, I chose that. I chose that path. I chose that person. I chose to stay. I chose to keep going back. And I chose to not look within myself and see why I was choosing. And that just continued the suffering. So when we are in a state of suffering, we need to look at why. Because that means we are out of alignment. Something that we have chosen is not in alignment with where we're supposed to be. So we need to take a good and hard look at that and course correct. We need to make different choices. We need to think different thoughts. We need to change our environment. And sometimes when you change the internal of you, you start to heal those wounds that you are carrying. The external will start to shift, and the person that you're with will start to shift as well. Whether that's them changing and becoming a better person to be in alignment with you because you're inspiring them to do so. Just your energy alone is inspiring them to make choices that are beneficial for themselves, which is going to benefit you. And sometimes that vibrational frequency that you're moving into is going to move you away from them. So no matter what you do, when you start to look inside and you take accountability and you start raising your own frequency and making yourself better, no matter what, your life is going to improve. Either your partner's going to improve, or you're getting a new partner that's a new improved person. So I hope that this is making sense. I hope that this is opening your eyes so that you can stop being in victim consciousness, because there is no growth in that. You're just pointing the finger. You're the problem. Well, you were always in that equation. So what are you contributing to that problem? For me, when I started to have that kind of mentality, it didn't feel shitty. When it started to really sink in, when it started to really resonate and make sense to me, it started to feel freeing, because now I know that if I am experiencing something in my life, my love life, that doesn't feel good, it started here first, or maybe here. But that's empowering, because now I know that I can shift that. I can change things. I can go within and see where there is that misalignment. I can see where I've chosen suffering, and I can shift that. And at any moment, at any time, it is within my power. I don't have to wait for somebody else to change. I don't have to hope and pray and wish that somebody else will change. All I have to do is change me, and everything around me will change at the same time. Take the lessons that you're learning in love and really apply them. They are coming to you for a reason. These things that keep happening or keep showing up in your life are for a reason, and the reason that they keep coming in is because you're not learning. Slow down. Take a minute, take a pause, Go within, connect to God, and God will always show you exactly what you need to see. The external reality, everything you see, is because of your internal world. So go within, and you're really going to know how to heal that, how to grow above that, and how to shift it so you stop experiencing it. Because nobody wants to, and nobody deserves to be abused. Let's get that clear. Nobody wants to, and nobody deserves to be in trauma. But those experiences are making you learn how to choose the opposite, how to choose love, how to choose growth, how to choose abundance, how to choose bliss, joy, passion, all of those beautiful, magical things that we all want, but for some reason we've been choosing different. So be aware of your shadows, really get comfortable down deep in the dark, because that's where you're going to learn the most about yourself. And there's a saying that I'm probably going to butcher, but if you are in the dark and there's no light around you, you are the light. So remember that you always have that light source within you, and when you're down deep in the dark of your shadow, of the things that you don't want to look at, that light within you is going to shine on them, and once the light is on them, the scariness that they hold is no more, because they're illuminated, they're light, and they're brought out into the open, and there's nothing to be afraid of. So me making this video, exposing myself, exposing my past relationships, is shining a light on it so that they have no hold on me anymore. Yes, I did choose relationships that were unhealthy because I was not healthy. Yes, I chose relationships that had people with certain addictions that were mirroring to me the fact that I place so much value on my body and nothing on the rest of me. And now that I've come to recognize that, because of those relationships, I can flip that. I can start paying more attention to the beauty within me, to how intelligent I am, to how funny I am, to how kind and loving and nurturing I am. I can shift my focus away from only the external, and I'm going to start attracting in, and I have attracted in, somebody who appreciates more than just the shell of me. So I hope this helps you. I know this is a lot. This is the longest video I've ever made, but I hope that you find something in here. And I know this isn't going to be the first video that I make about this, because relationships are something that people are struggling with so bad right now. And a lot of people are struggling to find somebody who is committing to them, and this is because of something within you. So if you have any questions about relationships, drop it in the comments down below. Let's have a conversation about it and start shining light on all of those shadows within you, so that you can understand yourself more, so that you can stop attracting in what you do not want to experience, and you can start attracting in what you do. So thank you for watching. I hope this helped. Have a good day. And remember that you are loved, and to love yourself.